The waves were calm when my own blood pushed me off the yacht. No screams. No struggle. Just my mother's eyes turning away as I hit the black water. I remember thinking, this is how they erase me, Gef. And then the ocean closed its mouth over my name. They told the world I drowned in a tragic accident. My siblings cried on camera, perfect tears, rehearsed grief. My father stood stiff, saying nothing, already counting what was now unclaimed. My fortune, my tech empire, built sleepless night by sleepless night, became theirs within weeks. They sold my penthouse, froze my accounts, buried an empty coffin with my face on it. What they didn't know was that the sea didn't want me. I woke up tangled in nets on a rusted fishing trawler, lungs burning, body broken, pride shattered. A man with salt, cracked hands leaned over me and said, "You're stubborn. Ocean tried to kill you all night." I couldn't speak. My voice was gone. Maybe it ran away when my family did. For months, I said nothing. I healed in silence. I watched news clips of my funeral on a flickering TV. I saw my younger brother wear my watch. I saw my mother move into my house. I saw my company rebranded. My name erased like a typo. Weak, that's what I was then. A ghost wrapped in borrowed clothes, cleaning decks for food, sleeping with the sound of waves that once betrayed me. But pain has a strange chemistry. If you don't let it leak out, it hardens. I learned patience from the sea. I learned invisibility from silence. By the time my voice returned, I no longer needed it. I disappeared again, this time on purpose. I rebuilt from shadows. Offshore accounts they never found. Backdoors in code I wrote years ago. Quietly still alive in the system they thought they owned. I watched my family fight over money they didn't understand, over power they couldn't control. My father grew arrogant. My sister reckless. My brother cruel. They thought I was dead. I waited until they were celebrating. 5 years to the day of my death, they gathered on a new yacht, bigger, louder, drenched in champagne and laughter. A party to celebrate the sale of my company to an international conglomerate. The final conversion of my life into numbers. That's when my gift arrived. A black case. Delivered personally. No return address. Just a card inside. From someone you forgot at sea. Inside the case, phones. One for each of them. They rang at the same time. My father answered first. His face drained of color. My sister dropped hers like it burned. My brother laughed until the screen lit up. Me alive? Calm. Watching? Impossible. My mother whispered. Her voice cracked the way mine once did. "I told you," I said softly. The ocean doesn't keep what it doesn't want. Behind me on the screen, numbers began to move. Accounts draining. Stocks collapsing. Deals dissolving in real time. "What did you do?" my father demanded, finally finding his voice. "I took back what you stole," I said, "and something extra." The yacht's engines cut, music died. Lauder suffocated. Security arrived, not theirs. Authorities followed. Warrants, charges, fraud, conspiracy evidence uploaded, time-stamped, undeniable. Every betrayal documented. Every signature traced. My brother tried to run. He slipped on the deck. Just like I did. This time, no one helped him. As they were led away, my mother looked at the screen, tears streaming. "We thought you were gone." I leaned closer to the camera. "You never checked if I was breathing." The call ended. The yacht drifted, empty and silent, carrying nothing but the echo of their screams. I didn't attend the trials. I didn't need to. I reclaimed my name quietly. Bought back my company for a fraction of its worth. Changed nothing, except ownership. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear the sea. But now it sounds like applause. The world assumed that was the end of it. They were wrong. Power doesn't vanish when you expose it. It mutates. And once my family lost theirs, they became dangerous in a new way, desperate. From a distance, I watched them rot. Courtrooms stripped them of polish. Orange jumpsuits replaced tailored suits. My brother's laughter died first. My sister learned what silence felt like when no one answered her calls. My father aged 10 years in 6 months. And my mother, she stared at walls like they might forgive her. I told myself I felt nothing. That was a lie. Revenge doesn't erase pain. It gives it a direction. I stayed invisible. I let the media crown me a myth. A dead founder resurrected. A faceless puppet master. I never corrected them. Fear works better when it has no face. Then one night, my secure line rang. A voice I hadn't heard since childhood whispered my name. "I know you're alive." "My mother." I didn't respond. "I know you're listening," she said. "You always did." Silence stretched between us like a blade. "They took everything from us," she continued. "Your father, he doesn't sleep. Your brother cries. Your sister?" "You didn't push me," I said quietly. "You watched." She inhaled Shard. "So was I," I said. "In the water, at night alone." Another breath, a sob this time. "What do you want?" I almost laughed, almost. "I already took what I wanted," I said. "Now I'm deciding what you deserve." I ended the call. For weeks after, things escalated without my fingerprints. Their lawyers quit. Their appeals failed. Witnesses remembered things at the perfect time. Deals they tried to make collapsed hours before signatures. I didn't need to hurt them directly anymore. The world did it for me. But revenge has a hunger. And it doesn't stop eating just because the plate is full. I returned to the city quietly, under a different name. Walking past places that once bowed to me. My old office building loomed like a tombstone. Inside, strangers sat at desks I designed, using systems I built, unaware they were working inside my shadow. At night, I stood on my old balcony, now mine again, and stared at the harbor. The same water, different man. That's when I learned my father was dying. Terminal months, maybe weeks. He requested to see me. I considered ignoring it. But some endings deserve witnesses. The prison hospital smelled like bleach and regret. He looked smaller than I remembered, folded inward, like a man trying to disappear before death could find him. When he saw me, his eyes filled not with relief but fear. "You came," he whispered. "I wanted to see what betrayal costs," I said. He swallowed hard. "We built you." "You raised me," I corrected. "I built everything else." His hands shook. "I thought you'd forgive us? After everything?" I leaned in close. "I forgave you the moment I survived." He frowned, confused. "Forgiveness," I continued, "who'sn't mercy, it's clarity." I placed a document on his bed. A single page. "What's this?" he asked. "Your name will be cleared of one charge." Hope flickered. "But the rest," I added, "will stand. Your legacy will be this room. This ending." His mouth opened. Nothing came out. I stood. "You taught me something valuable." "What?" he whispered. "How easy it is to throw someone away when you think you'll never see them again." I left him there, staring at the door like it might drown him next. My sister tried to bargain next. Letters, apologies, childhood photos. I burned them unopened. My brother sent threats, promises of revenge. I smiled at those. Then came the last move, the one they never saw. I announced a foundation in my old name. Scholarships, ocean rescue programs, survivor funds. The press ate it up. The irony was delicious. And then the detail buried deep in the coverage surfaced. All funding originated from assets seized from my family. Their money would save lives at sea. Every rescue headline dragged their names back into the light. Every saved soul was a reminder of who they tried to kill. My mother never called again. Years passed. The ocean never tried to take me again. Sometimes when the world is quiet, I replay that night, the push, the fall, the cold. Not because it hurts, but because it reminds me, I was abandoned once, never again, and somewhere, in a cell or a memory or a grave, my family knows the truth they can never escape. They didn't just lose my fortune. They created me. They thought that was the final shape of me. A benefactor. A shadow with clean hands. A man who won. But survival rewires you. It leaves loose wires sparking in the dark. The foundation grew faster than anyone predicted. Governments partnered. Corporations donated. My name, once spoken only in courtrooms and obituaries, became synonymous with rescue, reform, redemption. The press called it poetic justice. They never saw the machinery underneath. Every rescue vessel ran on software I designed. Every donation flowed through systems I controlled. Information came with money, quietly, voluntarily, greedily. CEOs talked when they felt safe. Politicians leaked when they felt admired. I didn't blackmail. I listened. Power is patient when it doesn't need to rush. Then a file crossed my desk that made my pulse slow to a dangerous calm. A sealed deposition. 5 years old. Buried deep. It detailed the night I was pushed. Not the public story. The real one. There had been a witness. A crew member paid. Threatened. Disappeared. Alive? I stared at the screen for a long time, feeling something old and sharp stretch awake inside my chest. I had dismantled their lives. I had erased their future. But they had stolen something else. My truth. I found him in a coastal town that smelled like rust and cheap beer. He looked over his shoulder constantly, like the sea might recognize him. I didn't want to, he said before I could speak. Your father, he said they'd ruin me. They ruined me, I replied. He nodded. Tears sliding down a face that had aged too fast. I saw it all, your brother's hands. Your mother turning away? Will you say it? I asked. Yes, he whispered. If you promise me protection. I gave a small smile. I promise you disappearance. The trial that followed wasn't about money or fraud. It was about murder, attempted, premeditated, familial. The world watched again, but this time there were no theatrics, no speeches, just footage, testimony. A man describing how a family stood in a half circle and decided, silently, that I was expendable. My mother fainted when the video played. My sister screamed that it was a lie. My brother lunged at the witness and was restrained, frothing. I watched from a private room, hands folded, heart steady. The verdicts came back heavy and final. Life sentences. No parole. No legacy left to salvage. I thought that would be the moment I felt empty. Instead, I felt awake. That's when the letters started arriving. Strangers. Survivors. People who had been betrayed by blood, by partners, by systems designed to chew and discard them. They didn't ask for money. They asked for guidance. So I built something new. Quietly, selectively, a network, legal aid, digital anonymity, safe exits. I didn't save everyone, but I saved enough. Years later, my mother requested to see me one last time. I almost didn't go. But something told me endings don't close themselves. She was smaller than ever. Skin paper thin. Eyes too large for her face. I used to dream you were still in the water, she said as I sat down, floating just out of reach. I used to dream you'd look back? I replied. Her lips trembled. I was weak. I know, I said. That's why I survived. She studied my face like she was trying to memorize it for wherever she was going next. Do you hate me? I considered the question carefully. No, I said. Hate requires energy. You don't own that anymore. A tear escaped her eye. Did you ever miss us? I stood. I missed the idea of a family, I said. You were just actors. She reached out. I stepped back. When she died, the news barely noticed. The world had moved on, so had I. On the anniversary of the night at sea, I took a small boat out alone. The water was calm, moonlight breaking into silver shards across the surface. I stood at the edge, breathing deep. For a moment, I imagined letting myself fall again, not out of despair, out of closure. But I didn't. I dropped something else instead. A watch. The one my brother wore on television while pretending to mourn me. It sank without ceremony. The ocean didn't clap this time. It was silent, satisfied. I returned to shore before dawn, changed my name again, and boarded a plane. There were other cities, other shadows, other people who needed exits. I was no longer the man they tried to kill. I was the consequence. And somewhere deep beneath the waves, the sea kept the only thing I never reclaimed. The person I was before they pushed me. I thought becoming the consequence would quiet the noise. It didn't. It sharpened it. In every city I disappeared into, people recognized the shape of me before they recognized my face. Power has a gravity, it bends rooms. Conversations slow when you enter. Lies hesitate. Truth fidgets. I lived under names that sounded forgettable. I wore clothes that never made impressions. I rented places with thin walls and no history. And still, the past followed. Not as guilt, but as momentum. One night in Prague, a man slid into the chair across from me without asking. You don't know me, he said. But you saved my sister. I didn't deny it. She jumped off a ferry, he continued. Your foundation's drone spotted her. Pulled her out. I nodded once. He swallowed. She said the pilot told her. The sea doesn't get to choose today. I didn't remember saying that. But it sounded like me. He left without another word. Didn't ask for a photo. Didn't thank me. That's how I knew it was real. The network expanded organically. No branding, no hierarchy. Just doors, some opening, some closing forever. Lawyers who didn't ask questions. Engineers who wrote clean erasure code. psychologists who specialized in rebuilding people who had been dismantled by trust. We never advertised. We were found. Then came the message I never expected. From my brother, still alive, still breathing, still angry. He'd survived an attack in prison, barely. The kind that doesn't kill you, just teaches your body a new language. Pain. The message was one sentence, scrawled, scanned, shaky. You think you won. But you don't know what you took from me. I stared at it longer than I should have. Because I did know. I took his future, his reflection, his certainty that the world belonged to him by birthright. And that wasn't enough. I arranged the visit myself. No guards in the room. No cameras. Just glass, steel, and a table bolted to the floor. He looked at me like I was a hallucination that refused to fade. You're not real, he muttered. I was very real when you pushed me, I said. He laughed, a broken sound. You were always weak. I leaned forward. You confuse silence with weakness. Common mistake. He clenched his jaw. You destroyed everything. No, I replied. I let you live with what you built. His eyes burned. I think about you every night. I smiled for the first time in that room. I don't think about you at all. That did it. He surged forward, rage detonating years too late, hands slamming uselessly against restraints. You took my name, he screamed. My inheritance. My family. I stood. You gave me the ocean. Wet, he rasped. Why? I paused at the door. Because you needed to learn, I said, that some people don't drown. They adapt. I never saw him again. Weeks later he ended his own life. I felt nothing. That scared me more than grief ever had. So I went somewhere loud. Mumbai. Heat, chaos. Life stacked on life. I walked through crowds that didn't care who I was or what I'd done. For the first time in years, I felt anonymous in a way that didn't feel like hiding. That's where I met her. She didn't know my name. She didn't want it. She sat beside me on a train platform, barefoot, hair caught in the wind, eyes sharp with curiosity instead of need. You look like someone who listens too much, she said. I listen selectively, I replied. She smiled. That's worse. We talked about nothing important. Food cities. How people leave pieces of themselves behind without noticing. She never asked what I did. I never offered. For a while, I considered staying. That was my real weakness. Because the past doesn't forgive hesitation. The attempt came 3 days later. Subtle, clean. Poison disguised as hospitality. Amateurs. I woke in a white room with my system alarms already screaming in my ear. Antidotes administered. Location compromised. I traced it within hours. A private firm. Off the books. Paid through layers of shell companies that reeked of desperation. My sister. She'd escaped conviction on a technicality years earlier. Changed her face. Changed her name. She hadn't changed her nature. I could have ended her quietly. I chose not to. Instead, I invited her. She arrived thinking she was in control, smiling. Polished empty. You look well. She said, so do you? I replied. New face suits you? Her smile froze. I don't know what you're talking about. I do, I said. Sit. She didn't. I tried to kill you once, she said softly. I won't miss twice. I nodded. That's what makes this interesting. I handed her a tablet. On it transactions. Communications. Names, every assassin she'd hired, every bribe she'd paid, every lie she'd told since the trial. You have 48 hours, I said. Turn yourself in. Confess. Or this goes public. She laughed. You wouldn't. I met her eyes. Her phone buzzed. Then again. Then wouldn't stop. Her color drained. You're a monster? She whispered. No, I said. I'm what you made when you mistook love for ownership. She left without another word. She was arrested before sunrise. That night, I stood alone on a rooftop and felt something unfamiliar press against my ribs. Peace. Not happiness. Not relief. Resolution. I finally understood the gift I'd given them. Not ruin. Revelation. They saw themselves clearly in the end. As for me, I kept moving, not because I was running, but because the world is wide, and the sea no longer decides where I end. I do. Years later, people would try to trace the pattern of my life and fail. They'd look for a headquarters, a throne, a final reveal where the man behind the curtain stepped into the light and claimed his victory. They misunderstood me. I wasn't building an empire. I was dismantling the idea that anyone gets to decide another person's ending. The network matured. Not larger, cleaner, sharper. Less sentimental. We stopped pulling people out at the edge of death and started intercepting them before the fall. Quiet warnings. Legal tripwires. A single message sent at the right moment can redirect an entire life. I became very good at timing, and very selective about mercy. One winter, I returned to the coast where it began. Not the same yacht, but the same stretch of sea, dark, endless, patient. The locals didn't recognize me. To them, I was just another man standing still too long, listening to water speak a language older than betrayal. I rented a small house overlooking the shore. No security. No staff. Just glass, wood, and the sound of waves breathing in the dark. For the first time, I allowed myself to stop moving. At night, memories came, not violently, not accusingly. They arrived like old photographs left on a table. My childhood laughter. My mother brushing my hair. My father's hand on my shoulder before ambition replaced affection. My siblings before envy sharpened their smiles. I didn't push them away. I let them pass through me. One evening, as the sun folded itself into the horizon, I took a walk along the waterline. The tide was low. The sand cold beneath my feet. I thought about the man I'd been before the fall. He believed effort guaranteed loyalty. That blood was armor. That love once earned couldn't be revoked. He was wrong. But he wasn't foolish. He was unfinished. I stopped where the waves thinned into foam and closed my eyes. For the first time since the night they pushed me, I whispered an apology, not to them. To myself. I didn't protect you, I said quietly. But I learned. The wind carried the words away. The sea didn't answer. That was fine. Some silences aren't empty, they're complete. In the years that followed, I slowly dismantled my own shadow. Distributed access. Burned keys. Taught others how to listen the way I had. How to wait. How to act without ego. Power shared is power that survives you. I never married. Never needed to. But I loved, briefly, honestly, without possession. People came into my life like chapters, not anchors. When they left, they did so intact. That mattered. One morning, I woke before dawn and realized something had changed. The anger was gone. Not buried. Not suppressed. Gone. In its place was a calm so deep it startled me. I understood then that revenge hadn't been my destination. It had been my bridge. I wrote one final message, no sender, no signature, and scheduled it to release to the network the day my heart stopped, whenever that would be. It read: "If you're reading this, I'm no longer necessary." That was always the goal. Years later, on a quiet night with no witnesses, I returned to the water one last time. Not to surrender. To acknowledge. I stood at the edge fully clothed and let the waves wash over my ankles. Cold, familiar, honest. "You didn't kill me," I said softly. "You taught me how to endure." The sea answered the way it always had. By existing, I turned back toward the house, toward the light waiting behind glass, toward a life no longer shaped by what was taken, but by what was chosen. Somewhere far away, people slept safely because a door had quietly opened for them years earlier. Somewhere else, someone stood on the brink and stepped back. And somewhere deep beneath the surface, the night I was meant to disappear finally lost its grip on time. They thought leaving me at sea would end me. They were wrong. It ended the boy. And what walked away from the shore, calm, deliberate, unafraid, was something far rarer than vengeance. It was a man who survived, remembered, and chose not to drown the world back.